what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Mason Taylor entering the NFL draft. Not too much of a surprise here. Obviously, there was some hope that he would be one of the players you could retain. I know that was definitely a priority for LSU. I mean, you think about this year, and I don't know that there was a bigger safety blanket or bigger outlet for Garrett Nussmeier when you had to have it. It seemed like Mason Taylor was consistently on the receiving end of that play. And even before we knew this news yesterday, we talked about how that was a position that was already pretty thin. Yeah, you got a couple nice receivers and Trades Green and Kamorian Pimpton, but even they started to play more of a receiver role as the year went on. You're still lacking that kind of true yackle, tackle, whatever, a true tight end. Mason Taylor was like a tight end where the thumb was put on the scale on the receiving side of the equation, but he was still the closest thing you had to a traditional tight end. So this is a big loss in more ways than one. You lose a leader. You lose one of your most productive players. In fact, the most productive tight end in LSU school history, which is kind of crazy to think about. And so replacing him is going to be very hard, especially because that was you get LaFleur out of the recruiting class, but you never have to rely on a true freshman. No, to be fair, Mason Taylor came on as a true freshman. That's when he started to write his legend. And so that's going to be one of the top priorities heading into this transfer portal this transfer portal window is going to be probably one, maybe even two tight ends, right? Now you can also go out there and look for a guy that's maybe more pass catchy if you want, or you can just try to go get a couple of yackles. Taylor, have you seen any names out there yet on the tight end front?
Not as far as this is an obvious take, you have to bring this guy in. I mean, maybe the guy with the most production, this is being serious. Carson Kent from Kennesaw State, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. I mean, there's not a ton. Zach Adkins is in the portal. He had a solid year, but he played at Northwest Missouri State, so he would be jumping up a huge level of competition. There's just not a ton of big-time names right now at the tight end spot.
Sounds like we need to get to some tampering. So go ahead, if you're LSU, and start putting some floaters out there. Find which tight ends you maybe recruited in high school that are a bit discontented. Who can you start to pry loose? Who knows? You may not be able to get it for spring. This might be a situation where you got to go back into the spring portal after somebody figures out they're not going to play. And you know what I will say, though? Is that we should still allow room for Trades Green and Kamorian Pimpton to continue to develop holistically as tight ends. We do pigeonhole them as just pass catchers, and it's not hard to see why, right? Their bodies are incredible. They're a complete mismatch in that regard, and they have very natural soft hands. But there is a world out there where, they keep practicing. Now, unfortunately for them, it's going to be with a third tight end coach. Third year in a row as Slade Nagel's out. So that's going to be very important. Who do you hire? Can you hire someone? Actually, to be fair, that's just as important as who you're going to bring in player-wise. Look at the impact that the coaching changes had on this LSU defense last year. Bo Davis had an interior defensive line that was markedly less talented, playing significantly better than what you had last year. Kevin Peoples took some edges that were already talented, but made them significantly better than they were last year. Corey Raymond in the corners. I mean, the list goes on and on. Blake Baker in the linebacker, whatever. You get it. So in that same way, you bring in a good tight end coach, or maybe you have a guy on staff. I don't know. And maybe those guys develop a bit more than we're giving them credit for, and then there isn't as much pressure to be pigeonholed to have to go get someone out of the portal. I still think you will, but I think it's a combination of those factors. Who do you hire? How do the Pimpton and Green and even LaFleur coming in, how do these guys develop? What role can they play? And then And can you bring in another body or two? In the end, though, Mason Taylor, it's funny because, like, he was not here at a time when LSU won a ton of games. But I think he goes out as a bit of a fan favorite. He will be remembered. A lot of big catches, gotta have it moments. But of course, none bigger than when he was a true freshman in Tiger Stadium, 2-point conversion to beat Alabama, to go to Atlanta. It's one of those moments that, like, it's very rare. If you're not a part of a championship team, it's rare that you can do something that will really stand the test of time and be remembered. Like, that play will be remembered pretty much forever. That highlight will be shown in packages before games forever. So shout out to Mason Taylor, and best of luck in the NFL. And, here's hoping he can go make that money. That maybe he wasn't, because he was probably a bit underpaid here at LSU. It sounds funny. So best of luck to him in the league. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.